Hello, this is Thomas from Norway, very far away from Brazil, but we are going to talk today about his band, Gaia Epicus, and maybe we can also learn something about Thomas, this musician. Thomas is a guitarist, and Gaia Epicus is a heavy metal band that released a lot of albums, and I hope you enjoy this, and I must thank you for accepting this, for coming.
World. So
Uh, I really would like to know. I'm going to start by asking, how did you start learning guitar and what motivates you to learn guitar?
well, it all started very, very long time ago. Um, Actually, when I was in children's school, at one point we had some music classes and where we were allowed to like try out some instruments. And at that time, I was introduced to the drums. So I actually started playing drums first there, and I always thought I was gonna be a drummer. So we had like one band during children's school and through youth school, and then I had a brief little stop where I didn't do any music. But then again, around just before New Year's, around 1992 or somewhere there, we decided to try again, start a new band. And at that point, I was also supposed to be the drummer. So we started up a band. We didn't really know much of playing, so we ended up like doing this Norwegian three-chord punk music. And just after a short while, the guitar player started missing out on the rehearsals. And I didn't have my own drum kit. I was borrowing someone else's drum kit, and he was forced to play keyboards. But he really wanted to play the drums. But since I had played drums before, I was the one doing the drums. But since we didn't have a guitar player anymore, and his guitar was still in the rehearsing room, someone asked to pick it up, and I picked up the guitar, and we started just making songs. I didn't start learning how to play the guitar. I just started making songs without really knowing how to play. So I didn't even know anything about tuning a guitar or nothing like that. So we made a few songs, just like in some chords that I probably doesn't exist, but I made it up to sound okay. But then, of course, a little after a while, we see that, yeah, we want to continue this band, we want to go on further. So then I started learning how to tune a guitar, and then I realized, oh fuck, I can't play a guitar anymore because the chords I've been doing is just made up. So then I kind of had to start on scratch, trying out to learn basic like power chords. So it's basically started power chords, and then I started trying to do more regular chords after that. So we did this punk band thing for like a year or so, made a demo. You can also find this demo online still today with Norwegian punk lyrics. And then something happened. I was in contact with a guitar player that we at the time thought was like fantastic. Oh my God, he's like a guitar guru. And he introduced both me and my bass player to guitar tabs. And it's like, oh, because musical theory, musical notes has never been my thing. It's like maths. I've never been good at maths, and music notes is like maths to me. So when we discovered guitar tabs, it was like a blessing from the sky, and we just started learning Metallica songs. And for a whole summer, it was just rehearsing Metallica songs like Seek and Destroy and From the Bell Tolls and all those classics which most bands used to play. And that's basically how I learned to play the guitar. So in some way, I say that James Hetfield is my guitar teacher.
This is very funny because I don't play the guitar. I'm not a guitarist, but when I started learning bass for real, like we're gonna jam together with people and learn for real, we started with these punk songs because they were easier for us to try at this time. And then
Hmm.
obviously we got into these tabs too, and this was a lot easier for us. I found out Guitar Pro by the same time, and then my life became easier. And then we were
Hmm.
jamming to the same songs we were jamming. We were jamming to Metallica like Seek and Destroy for Honda Beltos, Enter Sandman, and those we
Hmm.
could get into until we could actually try Master of Puppets and harder songs. And then we went to Megadeth, and we
Yeah.
kept going. This was the path you took is like similar to the path that I took, despite the fact that I play bass. It was very interesting.
Yeah. And of course, the difference with kids today, they have YouTube, so you can learn everything on YouTube, from the easiest stuff to the hardest stuff, whatever you want to learn. But there was no YouTube back then, so it's basically just using your ear and listening, and also using the tabs. So
When does Gaia Epicus comes in?
yeah, well, after we started doing the Metallica songs, we kind of turned into like a very easy form of thrash metal band. So we did a lot of thrash, and we changed styles and changed names and changed a lot of band members coming and going and so on. But after a while, then I got more inspired by, then Dream Theater came along, and I got a little influenced by that prog metal, which was going to become very big later on. But also bands like Stratovarius came along, and some of that. Of course, I've also been listening to Halloween before, and Gamma Rays, so on. But there was a change there where I got more and more into that power metal style. At first, when my friend who used to be in the band before, when he introduced me to, like, for example, Dream Theater, first time I heard Metropolis, I was like, what the fuck is this shit? This is the craziest shit I ever heard. I'm never going to listening to this again. This is just a lot of thousand songs in one. But after like a couple of months, I love Dream Theater. So, and the same was also for, because he was trying to influence me to go more in like the direction of Halloween. He was a bit massive Halloween fan, and also at the time when he tried to convince me to start playing that, I didn't feel I was enough into it musically, and I didn't feel that I even could play music like that fast. So it took quite a long period before I said, okay, you know what, I'm gonna try and move in this direction. So basically around the year 2000 or something like that, then after that we started to move into what became Gaia Epicus. Of course, there was like a couple of years there where we developed some songs, and basically all the songs that ended up on the debut album in 2003. And there has been such a difference. We can talk about that more later, but I can just mention it now that the difference between back then making all the songs as a band, rehearsing all the songs prior to a recording, for me that has changed a lot during the years, so for good and for worse. So, but from 2003, it's been Gaia Epicus. So.
So Gaia Epicus started, I mean, the debut album is 2003. And
Yeah.
I mean, 2003, maybe 2004, you're doing live shows and stuff.
Yes, we used to do a lot of live shows, of course, mainly just in Norway, but I've been touring up and down. Norway is quite a long and narrow country, and it's very far distance between each town. But I've been playing all the way from north to south, up and down. And it's a big difference touring in Norway from a lot of other countries, for sure, because it's all this long distance, and that's also why most huge bands, when they come to Norway, they just play in south of Norway because it's too long to travel up north. So, and I come from the north myself.
Have you played outside Norway, like in other countries in Europe?
Yeah, I played a couple of times in Sweden. Um, One of the times, it wasn't like a real show, but it still remains as one of my favorite memories so far. And it was something called the Monsters of the Millennium Tour, where you had Dio, Manowar, and Motorhead touring together in Europe. And they were going to play some shows in Sweden, and we noticed that before one of the shows they were going to have there, they were going to have like a meet and greet with fans. And I got in contact with some people and managed to be able to go to this meet and greet. And we did like they're going to have like a concert thing before the bands were going to be there, the crew going to be there, and fans of the bands going to be there. So it's going to be like a special evening. So we went there and we played some of our songs there, and it was quite cool to play for the legends. So, and I don't have so much pictures from that show. We have some pictures when we're playing. I have a couple of others, but we don't really see so much. But one photo that's very funny is you can see us guys sitting by a table, and we know that Lemmy is in the back playing roulette at the gambling table with his bottle of whiskey. So we kind of tried to take a, before it was called selfie, but we took a selfie of ourselves, like Lemmy in the background. Unfortunately, it was very dark there, so you can't see that Lemmy is there, but you can see his boots because his boots is pure white. So you see some white boots in the background.
I really like Lemy's tone, his tone of thing. He plays bass just like he's playing the rhythm guitar with a lot of
Yeah,
distortion and all
it's almost
these
like a
chords.
punk rhythm guitar. Yeah,
Yeah, I like this one. I really like his sound.
yeah. And back to your question about playing, like I said, that was in Sweden. I also played in a festival in Spain, and I have done a couple of tours in the UK, and we have done one festival in the United States in Minneapolis.
Oh, interesting. Outside of Europe.
Yeah,
I hope one day, maybe, in the future to come to Brazil. We have a really good audience for rock and roll music and heavy metal stuff here.
yeah. I plan to headline the Rock in Rio one day. So.
Maybe, who knows? Would be
Yeah.
interesting.
Mm,
Rock in Rio brings musicians over the world, and there
mm.
is one day specific for heavy metal music and more heavy rock and hard rock stuff. And there is a lot of bands that come in from the North Europe and so on. You mentioned something earlier. I got curious about something. You told that you learned music in school because there was like music class and people would try out instruments. This is something we don't have it's not very usual in Brazil. So I really wish to know, in Norway, does music is like a basic thing that people learns in school, or this was very specific case?
Um, it's a very specific case, but when that is said, when you're in children's school, you have I can't remember, and I'm not sure if it's like this now, but it used to be at least for two of the grades, you have music class, but you just learn a little about very easy music theory, and you learn how to play a flute, like a small wood flute. I could never understand how to play a flute, so I used to sit in the back of the class and I just hide my flute under the desk, like pretending to play. And so, but that's basically the. I can't even call it music teaching, but it's there. It's a subject, music, but you don't really learn much from it. So we were lucky that we had this teacher that actually gave us this extra opportunity to try instruments and so on. And probably if that haven't happened, if he didn't introduce us to those instruments and made sure that we could come after school and practice, then I would probably not be in music today.
I see. You told that about the shows, live performance, how the band was formed. Well, since I didn't know its whole history, I didn't know it had members before, like to live show. But now that I found out this, when did it happen that it became just you in the band and actually you composing the songs and making it going forward?
Yeah, well, all the way from the very beginning, I have been uh, the main composer, made all the music. I have also been doing getting the band together, making sure it's rehearsals. I've been the one booking concerts, making sure we're going forward and so on, all the way from the beginning. And in the very start, there was after a couple of years, we had a little uh, problem where people started like, so why are you going to be in charge? Why you have to make all the decisions all the time? Why can't we do something in that? And I said, fine, if you want to make songs, you want to book concerts, just go right ahead. And they quickly understood that, oh fuck, that's a lot of work. So okay, you can just do it. So ever since then, I've been doing everything. But I always wanted to have a full band. I always wanted to carry on as a full band because if you're gonna do shows, for example, which I found out later when it's just me, it's a lot of work just to make sure that you have a band ready to go if the opportunity comes along. Um, so, for example, ever since it's been just me, I have been given opportunities to go on tour with bigger bands and play cool shows, which I just had to refuse because I didn't have a band standing by to go in. Uh, but also my main goal at some points I have had like regular uh, musicians that would play with me when something happens, but they might not always be ready for that time because they have their own projects and things. But that was also something I was looking into. Like, if I can't have a permanent band, then I would like to have a full backup of guest musicians or session musicians that are ready whenever things happen. But I haven't been able to find that either. But yeah, like from the very beginning, been playing a lot of shows as a band, full band. And during the first album, second album, third album, still was a full band. And that's up to around 2008. Then I started losing some members, and so before I released my fourth album, then it was basically just me left in the band.
So nowadays, since it's just you, how do you do it to actually record a whole album? You get musicians in there, they record their part from afar and send you the audio tracks. How does it work?
Yes, we just do it. Everyone record at home and just send files forth and back, and it works fine because I make demos. I program basically how I want the drums or how I want this and that, and of course I give some freedom to. I'm not saying that you have to play this drum fill exactly like this. You can put your mark on it, but more or less I have my vision of how I want the song to sound like. So I just make the demo, send it, and they can record it.
There is a friend of mine that you might know of. It's Eduardo from, I think he's living in Sweden now.
Yes,
He has done some stuff with you, right?
yes, he has mixed my two last albums.
Yeah, I see he got into that of mixing, mastering, and making albums. He played drums with me, like
Okay,
in 2011. I had a band. It was my band that we split up in the years, but we were looking for a drummer, and he in fact is an excellent drummer. I hope I can convince him one day to play a song with me. But
Oh,
he's an excellent drummer, and he was playing in a band called Scala Tourism. Then I got him in to play some songs up with me, and he was like this guy that would I would give him the song like days before. Oh, listen to the song. This is the song we made up. I used to make the song with the guitarists, and then I would send him the song. Oh, this is the song we made up. This, listen up, so you can know how to play it. So he doesn't listen to the song. He comes to the rehearsal without knowing what we are going to play. Then he picks up like an iPod to the area we are playing. He put up the phones. Okay, here's the song. Okay, now I'm gonna play, and just smashes the song. It just makes a better drum than we both thought of this before. He's
hmm.
just an excellent drummer.
Oh, he never mentioned that he's a drummer to me.
Oh, now you
Oh,
know.
yeah.
Ask him to play. Ask him to play drums. Trust me, please. He's a good drummer.
Okay. Is play technical and fast stuff too, or?
He was like into this Stratovarius song and this stuff, like playing really fast stuff.
Oh, okay.
We used to play thrash metal in that band. It's like it's original tracks we were making, but more like trash stuff. And I used to put instead of having much of guitar solos, we have these bass parts with wah and stuff like this. Because I was into Macho and Cliff Burton stuffs.
Okay.
Yeah, but was a lot of years ago. But interesting, he's working out with you. I haven't the chance to listen to the new album yet. I hope I can do it soon. Can you tell me, is it like you keep the same genre style over the years? I mean, the guy since Gaia Epicus started to this day on, do you think it's the same genre, the same style?
Yes, I think it's the same style. I tried to vary it a little bit because we are labeled as a power metal band, but personally, I just like to call it melodic metal with influences or elements of power, speed, thrash, a little bit of prog. So I try to mix it up and not just have one specific style, but no matter what I do, the reviewers will always review it as a power metal album. So if I make songs that's not usually on a power metal album, then they're gonna say, "Oh, this is a power metal album still." It's like, for example, not my last album, but the one before that. That's the album where I try to go much more thrash metal than before. And it's more than 50% of the album, I would say, is more thrash influenced than power metal. But still, it was reviewed as a power metal album. And it's, yeah, it's reviewers. I can't understand the reviewers many times. It's so strange. And they can write a very good article about your music, but when they're going to roll the dice, it's going to be crap. Or they can write the text like this album's not so much, but then roll the dice and it's a good dice. So I can't get I don't understand.
I don't get them either. When I
Oh,
read sometimes of this stuff, I just don't get them. I rather stay out of it.
yeah.
Uh, there's talking about the process of recording and all that stuff. I want to bring you something that, well, I see that nowadays we have kind of new stuff. The digital stuff went in very deep, I can say, with much stuff to learn, much stuff to use. But since you are from an old school time, I can say, what do you see nowadays as the using the digital or not using the digital, going full analog, like using amplifiers and all that stuff? How do you see it that, and do you use the digital stuff? Do you think it's better nowadays because it's like that, or?
Well, the digital stuff has become very good, has become very, very good. But I still believe that the old school stuff, real sounds, is the best. But of course, the advantage with the digital stuff, especially for small bands or like myself and so on, is that you can't go and afford to go in the big professional studios because it costs shitloads of money. So when you can save money just using digital things at home, and everyone can record everywhere wherever you are, then the digital stuff works and it has a good sound. But if it was up to me, I could choose, I would go into a great studio and use all real equipment, real amps and stuff.
So when you're recording at home, do you use like an amplifier with a microphone, or do you rather use it like in an audio card directly and use digital effects?
Yeah, the two last albums I have only used direct signal, putting it in, and then I have Eduardo in the mixing studio just reamp it with the real amps. So
Oh,
of course, I would prefer to run it through an amplifier first, just to get a little more power on the recording and so on. But it has worked okay with the way we are doing it now. So
oh, I also record myself by just using maybe sometimes these analog effects. I don't want much of them, just those I really like, and just plug in them in the audio card and then all digital. Because as you said, for small people, for starters, or for people that doesn't have the budget, it's much easier, much cheaper to and also easier to learn this setup rather than just buying a lot of analog stuff or going to a big studio. It became like it became easier for the people like us, the smaller people, or people just willing to learn. I would ask something. If you own an home studio, you can tell, or when you're recording, you just go to someone else's studio or something.
no, I record at home. I wouldn't say I have like a studio, but I have the proper equipment that I need just to get the job done. So, and the only thing is that, now, where I used to live before on the previous album, then it was okay to stand home and do vocals and shout like hell. But then I moved, so when I did the vocals for this new album, then I just rented like a rehearsal place, and I went there with my laptop and just did the vocals there. So.
I see. You also have something very interesting. I saw a picture once. You have a custom guitar, a really customized guitar with the Gaia Epicus thing. How did you come to do that?
I actually have several guitars like that. Couple of Flying W's. I have one with the debut album cover, and I also have like a regular Jackson guitar with the Damnation cover on it. And from a distance, it might look cool and professional, but it's homemade. Everything's homemade.
But you just, for example, you have this Jackson, you get the Jackson guitar and just you repaint it. You just made the painting.
Yeah, it's not even painting. It's I just print some really large stickers in very good quality stickers, and I just mold it around the guitar. And after that, I put on like this cellophane see-through, I don't know, kind of tape, which I put over it to make it look shiny and smooth. And it works great. So
I wouldn't have guessed from the picture I saw. I saw the Flying V, and I was like, "Whoa, he's got a luthier to make his own custom guitar with the stuff of the band." I was talking about this.
yeah, it's all fake.
Well, but still looks cool. That's what
Yeah,
matters. Looks cool. It sounds good.
yeah.
uh, so from this latest album, I can tell, and from what I've seen on the posters, your influences nowadays to make music and stuff. It's been like thrash metal with these power metal bands or into something different?
No, I think the main influence when it comes to bands, it's been the same ever since I started. So my music is like a mix between Metallica, Megadeth, Iron Maiden, Halloween, Gamma Ray, Stratovarius. Yeah, that's probably the main influences, I would say. So
I'm curious about something. Norway, your country, does music like that is mainstream or maybe not mainstream, but with a lot of listeners? Or does it have another genre or style there that people love to listen to?
yeah, it's not mainstream by far, but of course, huge bands coming here to play, they usually sell out their venues, depending on where they're playing, of course. But there's a lot of fans. But of course, when it comes to heavy metal in Norway, it's black metal is much bigger than melodic metals.
It's funny because the impression we have in Brazil about Northern Europe, like Sweden, Norway, Swiss, we have the impression that people there just loves heavy metal, and this is the place for heavy metal stuff. It could be anything, power metal, thrash metal, anything, just the whole genre of metal and rock and roll. But while in Brazil, we have a very mixed culture. So there is states here that doesn't even listen to much of rock and roll music, and there is into something else, and it's a lot of mixer. But we come to get the impression that metal is the thing in Norway.
Well, no, not by far. And the biggest music style in Norway, is like in the pop style music, the songs or the bands that have the biggest hits or whatever in Norway, it's really bad, really bad. I mean, I don't mind listening to pop music, but the number one style in Norway, it's really bad. So. But I would say Sweden is much bigger when it comes to metal, and I've been to a couple of Iron Maiden concerts in Sweden, and I also the one I talked to earlier about Monsters of Millennium, when we went to see the day after we played, we went to see the show, of course, with Dio Manowar and Motorhead, and there was like very old people there attending that show, and there was even this old woman. I think she was more than 70 years old, with Manowar shirt, and she was screaming and putting the horns up, and it's like that really amazed me. You wouldn't see that in Norway.
This is amazing. Well, we'll never see that in Brazil. Well, maybe in 30 years later now, but
But especially our maiden is huge in Sweden. So
oh,
yeah.
well, at least the impression we get here is not so far. So you listen to music outside heavy metal stuff, rock and roll stuff.
Yes. Don't listen so much to music now as I used to before. I think it is like a work hazard, and when you do make a lot of music, then it's not so much interesting to listen to music as if you're not playing music. I see the same thing because I also work a lot with photo and video stuff, and also that I find myself looking more at details. If I watch a movie, then I'm looking more at details on how things are done than the actual movie. So you look at, for example, within the music, then you look at it in different ways than you would before if you're not playing music yourself. Or so.
Oh, if you look back to these years of Gaia Epicus band, what do you think would be the not one, but would be the biggest achievements of the band so far?
Yeah, achievements. The biggest achievements would actually be that Gaia Epicus still exists, because it's not many bands would keep going on with so much uphill as I've been experienced with, band members coming and going and just working hard, trying to make things happen, and you just feel like you're staggering the wall and so on. So since I started, since we released the first album in 2003 up to now, I have seen so many bands come get so much praise. Oh, this is gonna be the next thing, and a year later, I don't hear anything about them. So like bands come and go, bands come and go, and yeah, all the problems that has been occurring during the years, I think most people would just quit it. So,
But playing in North America, USA, just far
yeah,
away from Europe, is such a big thing, right?
yeah, it was fun. It was all done in a long weekend, so a lot of jet lag. We just think went down there on a Thursday and back on a Sunday just to do one show. Um, but it was it was called Minneapolis Metal Mayhem. It was a festival that has been going on for some years, and it was quite fun because there was some old school American bands playing there also. So yeah.
About Spain. Spain is also a big thing, right? I mean, to talk about USA and Spain, both are big achievements to go out of the country and get a totally different audience.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's a great experience. I would have liked to go more places, but uh, the times the opportunity has come along, then I haven't had the band. So either I didn't have a band or I didn't have the money to do it. So
But nowadays, do if let's say pandemic is over, the whole world come back to normal or at least a new normal, would you have the musicians to go in if the opportunity comes? Like I don't even say the money because could be an opportunity where someone is willing to pay everything to have their band in. So you would have the musicians ready.
not right now, no. But I'm pretty sure I could. If just have enough time to prepare, then I'm sure I could find someone to fill in. So. But of course, my main goal would to find someone who could do more shows than just one opportunity. Actually, we were supposed to do a show just before the pandemic started, because Rhapsody on Fire was touring and they were coming to Norway, and we were set to be opening band for them. Unfortunately, we had to pull out because the drummer I was going to use had to pull out. So, which was a shame because it would be fun. It would be like comeback because it's been quite a few years since the last shows.
Yeah, it would be cool. The fact that the Rhapsody of Fire is like a big band, you know, people know of. So you would have a lot of people surely to
Hmm.
the show, I guess.
Yeah, of course. So,
Since you are the man on the band, how do you when you're making songs? What do you do first? Do you like pick the guitar and get into something, and then you go to record it, or do you more familiar with going to the lyrics first?
it depends. Very often, I probably start with the music. Most of the time, I start with the music. Either if I just have some idea that's been spinning around in my head, or if I'm just sitting down and feeling inspired and just try to make up some cool riffs.
So you go into albums, to making albums just by you're playing, you have an inspiration, then you make the song, and then you proceed to have some few songs and go to the album. Is this like very natural like this, or it's like well, there is one year I don't release an album, let's try another album. How can you say between in two how much it's more?
Yeah, I don't have any like time schedule for albums. If it was up to me, I would probably try and release an album every year. But uh, first of all, when you're just one person, it takes a lot of time to schedule with other persons if you need them to play. And also, even though you make an album in a very small scale, then it still costs a lot of money. So it's a money issue and a time issue, but in the perfect world, I would probably release an album every year. maybe even more if if I had all the money I could, so I could just focus on music, then it would be possible for me to make more albums. And how an album becomes long, like when I'm starting to write songs for an album, I only write the songs that I want to be on the album. I have never written a song that I just canceled. I may have started on a song and found out, nah, this is not going anywhere, so I must just throw it away. But I never finished a song if I don't think that I'm going to be happy with it. So for an album, I record just the songs I want for the album, or if I want a bonus track or cover song, then I, of course, focus on that too. But I never write more than I need. So.
When you release the album, do you have like fixed people for publishing and for all that stuff that will be available on all medias? I think today people are into Spotify, Deezer, YouTube as well. Or do you do it yourself? You try to do it, you try to be your own publisher and stuff.
Yes, I am my own publisher. I have my own record label. Um, so it's not. I didn't start record label because I wanted to have my own record label. What happened there was that way back when we made a demo for one of the songs uh, for the debut album. It was back in 2002. And it's the song that's called Keepers of Time, which is one of the most famous song except Fire and Ice from Gaia Epicus. And this song led to a record deal with a record label in Portugal, who shall remain nameless, because right away we got into the bad side of the music industry. They were a completely corrupt label. They don't pay out the money you're supposed to pay out, and they just screw you over and things like that. So we had a record deal for 2 albums. I released Satrap. It went pretty okay, but I saw that there are some things not quite right here. And then it came to album number 2, Symphony of Glory. And okay, we finished the album, handed it over to a record company, and it started to get close to the release date. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna do some Googling, searching, see if they have sent out some promos, if there's some reviews coming up or something news about the album. And then I find out several places they released the news about this coming album. And then I read the track list. And on this album, the first track is like an intro. It's not a song, it's just an intro that leads into track 1. Suddenly, the intro is coming in the middle of the album. And it's like, what the hell is this? This can't be right. They must have screwed up with the text or something. So I contact the label and I said, I've been reading that the intro is coming in the middle of the album. And then I said, well, we just find it to be a more professional album if that track comes in the middle of the album. And we've been discussing with some professional people, and they also think that we should change the order of the tracks. And so this is not acceptable. Absolutely not acceptable. Stop this album, it's not coming out. Oh, but we have printed thousands of albums and we sent it out already. I said, doesn't matter. This album is not going out. So I think the album got in sales some places, but they had to just pull it back and print new albums with the right track order. And that, of course, led to me starting an investigation and finding out that, okay, first of all, our debut album is the album that has sold most copies so far. And of course, it's not where it sold most since it's the oldest one, so it's been longer in sale. But still, even though if you look beyond that, that album sold very well, and it even did very good in Japan. And got high on the list in Burn Magazine of Japan, and so on. So clearly something is wrong because we're not getting paid the money we're supposed to, and things are not right. So I started investigation and I started contacting bands that are on the label, bands that has been on the label before, and it just came clear to me that okay, everyone has had trouble, everyone's been ripped off, and so what you gonna do? I contacted some. I'm a member of some legal music organizations in Norway and so on. So we kind of used them to write some angry letters and saying that I want the complete rights of both albums handed back to me, and otherwise I'm going to take you to court or whatever. So, long story short, I got the the album masters back and full control over that, and terminated the relationship with that label. And I decided, okay, so what we're gonna do? We are already working on the third album. Okay, I could like start sending out to new labels, trying to get a new record deal. Gonna take forever, or I could start my own label. So that's why I started my own label, and I've been releasing all the albums on my own label, and I also re-released the first albums on my label too. Yeah, so
Oh, this was
hmm,
interesting, very, very interesting.
yeah,
But there were so many things wrong with this label. I'm glad you went out because could get worse.
yeah. I went out and I went out public, and I also made I also made our own web sites or on our Gaia Epicus website. I also made a one page just with that story and just warning the bands to not sign here. So
I mean, the thing about changing the track list orders, I mean, if they could at least contact you and give their opinion, saying we would like, we think that would be best if this track go into this. Well, at least they are giving their opinion. They are hearing you out. At least if I mean, the final word is yours. You're the artist. You're the one who made the songs and so on. But if they could just give their opinion, hear you out, and have this conversation, this would be, I think, the best approach for what they wish to do. But no, they just did it, and then don't even
hmm.
tell you. You found out by
Well,
yourself, and
yeah,
this is horrible.
hmm,
This is very unprofessional.
yeah. It's just lucky that I found out and that I didn't find out later when everyone started selling the album. So I was a bit lucky, but I do think that there might be some people who have that wrong version. So could be worth a lot of money.
Well, for the coming releases or anything, you can contact me. I can use all my medias and stuff to help you promote your own stuff, at least with some audience in Brazil.
Yeah, thank you.
And I wish to ask you for last, and how what can you tell me about the future as you're thinking of Gaia Epicus stuff? And maybe if you could dig into this whole pandemic thing we have, and after the pandemic and all that stuff.
Yeah, what the future holds, I don't know. During the years doing everything by yourself, it's quite tiring and it's quite frustrating when especially when you get new opportunities and you just have to, sorry, I can't do it because I don't have a band, or sorry, I don't have the money to do it, or so on. So uh, I'm not sure what the future holds. I'm What I know is I will at least continue making music and continue releasing music. I would, of course, love to go out and do more shows and perhaps do some real tours. um, with Gaia Epicus. It would be fun, and but how much uh, how much more I'm gonna focus on just that. I'm not sure. I've also been thinking lately about maybe trying start something new, some new projects. It's nothing concrete yet, but I've been thinking about that for a while. Maybe try something new because I've been doing this for a very long time. So, um, and of course, how long the pandemic will last is hard to say. But I say probably this year will still be affected by the pandemic, but next year I think we would most likely be back to normal or a new normal. Hopefully, we also have learned something about this pandemic that can prevent such things to happen in the future.
I hope so, and I agree with you.
One thing that for sure, which I hope people will take with them, is like hygiene, just personal hygiene, because like this last year that has been going now, there hasn't been any flu. The flu is completely gone, only because of people are washing their hands and taking care of more hygiene and keeping distance. So if people continue to take those parts, then I think we could have much less virus situations and at least these pandemic situations coming.
This was such a good conversation to know more about Gaia Epicus and really the countries you've toured in, this stuff about the record label, having your own record label. Some of tech stuff, like digital and analog stuff, this is interesting also. Well, thank you a lot. I'll have your social medias and everything about the band in the description, and I'll gladly share all of it. And I hope people who will watch this, if you don't know the band, you go in to listen to the band because there is an interesting sound there.
Yeah, thank you very much.